Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and look at what I have here today. This is a Spinnaker watch, and this is the first of this specific brand that I've featured on the channel, and ostensibly they market themselves as a sailing themed watch, and more particularly a yachting type watch, and yachting being apparently the most pure form of movement on water requiring the most technical skill, or at least that's what they say. So Spinnaker watches, I don't really know much about them. The information is slightly elusive, so it's not clear entirely where they are owned from as far as my research goes, but they do appear to be Chinese originated, or at least they are distributed by Solar Time here in Australia, which I think predominantly is a Chinese brand distributor. I may be wrong about the actual origin of this specific company. But it's not easy to find where they originated from. But you know, certainly this particular model has a Japanese movement, so you know, certainly not a European movement or European origin watch. So what we have here is the Spinnaker Vintage Rec automatic watch. The specific model is SP-5051, and the color variant for this black dial, black bezel is 04. I'll put the full specs on links down the bottom there. So let's take this out and have a closer look at the watch. Now this is a relatively new release, and according to the website, this is only exclusively available through direct purchase on the website. It's certainly not listed on Amazon right now. So on the Spinnaker website, it retails at 250 USD. Now, the movement is not specifically detailed on the actual website, the web listing here that I've linked to, but you know, unless I really miss my guess, it says Japan movement on the front, and it says 24 joules on that rotor there, and also Japan movement. This is a Seiko NH35A. If I get that wrong, that would be a shocking mistake, but you know, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's got exactly the same shapes and the same shape rotor as other NH35A watches I've featured. So what we have here, you know, 21,600 beats per hour, as you all know, 24 joules you've seen already. It's got a manual wind option at the number 1 position, or the 0 position after you unscrew the crown. It hacks, and it's got a quick set date on that window there. You can see 41 hours is the standard reserve on this particular movement. Now what we start to see slightly different here is the case and the dial. So this is a 44mm diameter case, but it's PVD or iron plated distressed steel. So if you can look at some of the surfaces there, there's a bit of a distressed finish. You know, they've finished it in a rough kind of aged look. You know, falsely aged, of course. This is a brand new watch, but you know, look at the edging, finishing on the lug, you know, the bezel edges. There's a bit of aging they've applied to it to get this wreck look. So the line is the Spinnaker Vintage, and this particular model is named the Rec. And you know, ostensibly that dial there. Now black is not the best to feature this tarnish corrosion effect dial, but hopefully you can see some of the pattern coming through as I turn it on the light here. So this is supposed to be a bit of a corrosion effect on the dial, meaning that you might find this watch sitting at the bottom of the ocean, and that's what the ocean salt water does to a dial over time, a false aging type of effect. So it is 14mm on the thickness and 44mm wide, with 22mm lugs being a very classic proportion here, and then of course very easily able to be swapped out for NATO straps, as this watch really lends itself to, I think. There is a screw-in case back, as you've already seen, and a screw-in crown, and it's rated at 100 meters for the water resistance, printed on the dial there. You can see Now, the finishing on this watch, they've stated that it's hand finished, so supposedly it's unique. Like every watch is different, but you know, I'll need confirmation on that. But that's what Spinnaker on their site actually states. Each finishing is unique. The lume is pretty standard. They don't say what it is, but you know, it's not. I don't think it performs like Superluminova, so it's probably one of the Eastern side of the world looms, whether it's Seiko or Citizen or one of those other looms. You know, it fades quicker than Superluminova in my experience. The dome is, the crystal is mineral crystal, and it is pleasantly domed. You can see there's a profile to it. It distorts the dial as you see it from the side, and I think that's really quite nice. It's almost, I'm tempted to say it's really quite gorgeous how they've shaped that crystal there. I really like that particular aspect. It does have a unidirectional dive bezel, so you can see there's a PVD steel insert with blue markings for the first 20 minutes, and that matches the blue printing on the dial. Our markings on the external minutes is there's a slight blue to it. I don't know if that comes through in the camera there, and then matching the blue stitching on the dial here. So there's a theme that runs through, as well as the minute hand that you can see there. That dial, this bezel, there's a slight, I guess, point I'll say. It's not 60 click, it's not 120 click. I'll let you hear the clicks. 10. So that's about 23 to the 15-minute point, and I can tell you it's 45 clicks to there. So it's actually a 90 click bezel. So it's a bit of an odd choice. I'm not sure why they didn't just go traditional 120 click. You know, I suspect it's not very hard to do. So it's an interesting choice that they've gone for 90 clicks. I guess the precision on these bezels are not super. You know, we're talking about half a minute or that level, but I don't really know why they went for 90 click. That's slightly odd, I think. The band is interesting. So this is what they call waterproof treated leather. Now, if you look at the rear here, it's this water resistant leather. And on the other side, it's just got the brand there. It doesn't say genuine leather on the website. It says genuine. I don't think it's genuine. If you look at the finishing of this leather, if you look at the side there, now that there's a bit of a suede feel on the outside. But if you just look at the edging, you know, you can tell me if you know more about leather. Specifically, I'm not that knowledgeable, but I don't think that's genuine leather. That's some sort of rebonded, refashioned leather, I'm pretty sure. But, you know, that's the tag about the leather. So, you know, it says waterproof, and it says, you know, you can see that supposedly it's been treated to be water resistant. So it means it will absorb very little water or less water than a normal strap, and they say it's water resistant. I haven't tried it underwater. I'm not sure I will. I'd much rather just swap out a NATO if I want to use it, you know, for swimming or diving or whatever, some sort of third-party proper waterproof strap, I think. But you know, they say you can use this in water. Now, and then lastly, I'll say the buckle is also interesting in that it has a distressed finish to it. It is ion plated steel as well to match the casing, and it's got Spinnaker on the tip there. So what's been you know, enjoyable to me, I think it's an interesting idea. They've implemented the leather, the case finishing, the you know, the bezel edge, including the buckle, and the dial quite nicely, and the glass. I have to say that's a nice implementation there to get this vintage aged dive watch look, and I think it's got a solid movement. You know, I've got no complaints about the NH35A really. You know, you could regulate that yourself if you wish to quite easily, and it performs. None of my watches with this movement have been a disappointment that way. What's not been so good? I think obviously the bezel is a weakness. It does, including the 90 click issue. It does have a bit of playability there, so it's not as solid as some other pieces, certainly not some of my Swiss pieces. The insert, if you can see more closely, is brand spanking new. It is absolutely shiny. So they have chosen not to apply any aging to that insert, and I think that's a bit jarring compared to the appearance of the case and the dial. That brand new looking insert just, I think, detracts from the effect somewhat. So it's a pity that the tarnishing wasn't applied to the insert there. The black dial is not the best color to feature this tarnish effect. If you look at the website, they've got a gray dial which shows it off much better. So I think I would prefer that if you want to look at the tarnish effect. This black one is not a bad design, not a bad color combination, but you really don't see that tarnishing very well with this color. And then the band, lastly, I'll mention, is it trying to achieve too much with, leather, which is not genuine, and trying to make it waterproof, but, probably compromising on the overall feel of the strap. I think it's a little bit stiff. I like the thickness. It's nice and robust, but it's a little bit on the stiff side. So let me just put this on for the wrist shot now. Okay, so there we have it on the wrist. And 44mm is not for everyone. I think it may be a touch on the large side for me, but I think it just maybe slips in as acceptable. My wrist is 17 centimeters, so it's certainly not going to be suitable for everybody. But I think for most guys, it's probably okay. Right, so the profile's not too bad, and I like the robustness of the strap there. So there we have it. There's a look at this Spinnaker vintage wreck diver. Let me know what you think. This watch was released not so long ago and available through the website. And I believe if you put a discount code, which I'll put down in the description at the bottom, Spinnaker will allow you a discount on the purchase price of this watch. So thank you guys for watching this far. Subscribe to keep in touch, and as always, I will see you guys next time.